games, yes. But, I mean,
Okay,
what if you were born into a family that didn't hold any particular religious belief?
okay, I think that I wouldn't have much of a stance or an opinion about gay marriage. I probably would support it
Yeah.
if I
So,
if I had
so
not.
why
But
can't you separate? Because that's what you realize that that's still in you, that belief
yeah,
system. Why can't you separate and just say, despite the Christian upbringing in which I was raised and I continue to practice, and I don't have
hmm
a problem with it.
you're just a
As an
better
atheist, and let me say, all atheists, we don't care what other people practice. I
person.
don't understand why some people think that atheists have issues with religious people. We don't. We don't care. You're free to practice whatever you want to. If you want to smother your body in mayonnaise because you believe that somehow it brings you to enlightenment, a little weird, but go
Okay,
ahead, do it.
why did you choose that for an example?
Because I love mayonnaise and
I know.
I want somebody to accept the fact that I smother myself with it.
I'm a little worried about you now.
Um, so I don't particularly care what you practice, but you have to realize that it doesn't always determine what you believe, and you shouldn't let it. It can help you. I think religion can help guide you in life if you feel like you're lost, if you feel like you need some support, but it shouldn't be the sole determinant of how you think. And so
I
that's why I
definitely
asked you when if you weren't born into a particularly religious family, what your thoughts would be.
Well, see, and I agree that everyone needs to have their own personal convictions and come to their own conclusions and not just live as, as we call it, on borrowed light. You can't just live on what your parents taught you or what you learned in church growing up. And the majority of what I believe and I have an opinion on, I've studied it out for myself, and it may not necessarily be what I've taught at church or what I learned growing up, but the whole gay marriage thing is one that I haven't figured out yet because it is contrary to my upbringing, and that's just one of those puzzle pieces that I've put aside for now,
Sure.
and I'm hoping that I will figure it out eventually once I have a better understanding of certain things
Well, I mean,
or
I hope.
but in the meantime, I'm not going to be discriminating against anybody. I'm not
Well, that's
protesting.
good, and I would never accuse you of doing that. I don't think you ever would. You're despite how you treat me, you're actually a very nice person.
Well, you just always are provoking me. If you were nicer, I would
We
be
are
nicer.
we're on opposing sides of things, so we're always a little bit combative.
But
But
see, yes,
I have
I
to
am
say,
a nice person.
what if the issue comes? What if in the day is going to come soon when you have children? What
And
is
one of,
going to happen if they are homosexual?
I don't
I
know.
mean, you have to make some very tough decisions because you're clearly going to have to go against what your church preaches because you want what's best for your kids. It's our instinct, especially as a mother, that you want to do whatever you can to protect your child. So you don't have to answer that now, but something to think about for the
Well, thank
future.
you. Thank you for that lovely thought.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's something that may
And
have
this
to be addressed at some point.
and this is part of the reason I think that or part of the fun of doing this is I don't have the answers to everything. I am not at all, presumptuous enough
And
to
you come
think,
to me because I do. Well, I appreciate
oh,
that.
no, if anything, I just realize how much I don't know. And it's a little daunting to think about, but it is interesting to explore. And so I'm always open to learning new things. And I try to keep an open mind. And this
Yeah.
is something that I'm still open with. I still don't know where my stance is, but I do know
And the
that
one thing I will say this. I will be on your side for a second.
yay.
I know when you are in a religious family, a religious community, and you have been your entire life, it's very difficult to go against the grain. It's really challenging. And so I understand why it can be hard to formulate an opinion on it because your religious upbringing, it part of who you are, and it's helped create and shape who you are today. So it's very much a part of you as a person, as a whole. And to go against that, it's sort of like you have to go against yourself a little bit. And it's you don't want to ostracize yourself from your own community and your own family and make people start to question you and make you feel bad about having these certain opinions that differ with theirs. So,
Yeah, but I'm not concerned about what other people think of my opinions or if I have different opinions, which I know my opinions are probably a little different than most Mormons. I might be a little more liberal than most Mormons,
sure.
which was why, I've said my opinion is not, representative of the Mormon faith necessarily. It's just mine alone. But I do think that people need to keep open minds and they need to keep learning
I agree.
and we do need to keep talking about these topics, even though they are uncomfortable. And even though you mentioned you want to talk about this at first, I was like, oh, not again. You know,
But it's something that continues to be brought up in the
yes.
news because people are still being discriminated against, and it's something that unless we take action now, it's going to continue this way. And so I think because we're such a religious nation. Of all of the industrialized nations in the world, we are the most religious. And I think in a lot of ways, it's a hindrance to our culture and our society, because obviously we still have pockets of discrimination specifically because of religious beliefs.
But I almost feel sometimes, you're discriminated against if you do believe that, marriage should be between a man and a woman. Like, hey, and just hear me out for a second. I know
Okay.
Okay, just wait a second.
I'll listen.
Was it a year or two ago I read about a story about a teacher in Boston where they were doing they had some education program, and this teacher refused to pass out pamphlets to his students.
Oh, right. I do recall this. Yeah.
Yeah, do you remember that story?
I do,
And
yeah.
he got fired because he refused to pass out. And in this pamphlet was all kinds of information that was not appropriate for young children of that age. But yet, that's why I just said sometimes.
Explain it. Do you recall what was it in the pamphlet?
Now I'm trying to remember, but there was even information about like online dating sites, and like there was some stuff in there that was not appropriate.
Right.
And he refused to pass it along to his children, and he was fired.
His students, you mean?
Oh yes, what did I say?
Well, his children.
Did I say his children?
Not his family, but his children, as in his students, his classroom.
So these pamphlets were given to everybody in the school, and all the teachers were supposed to, to pass them out.
Right.
And as a result of his opinion, and of his stance, he was discriminated against. Yeah. He was fired. And so that's where I run into trouble, and I have a problem when we're trying to, shove information down kids' throats. And I need to find that story and that information so I can get that to you and show you.
Please, we will post it on the blog as well, so we can have our readers and listeners research that for themselves. So they can see what we're talking about. But I also think you actually brought up a really good point that I didn't even address when we talk about making change for the future and having things progress towards a better future. It starts with children too. We have to teach our children very early to be open and accepting and not discriminatory, that we are all equal. And if we don't start then, they're going to start.
I aren't.
Oh, I'm sorry?
You and I aren't.
No, clearly. But we have to start young, because if not, they're going to carry those viewpoints with them for the rest of their life, and it's going to be very hard for them to shake it. So they have to be taught very early that it's not okay to discriminate against certain people.
I'm glad that we both agree on something.
Excellent. Well, finally, something good came of this half hour.
I think that we do need to start with the children, and that it is very hard to step away from your upbringing, to step away from how you were taught. But if we can be more open in teaching, like you mentioned, and be more loving and accepting and not pass judgment, which it says in the Bible, I think we'll all be a little bit better off.
I agree. Do you think we should end it there? I think that was a perfect ending point for today's show.
So maybe we should just bring it to a close?
Let's just wrap this baby up. As always, we thank you for joining us on the program. You can find our podcasts on iTunes. Just look us up, Mormon and Atheist. We have a beautiful logo. I forgot to mention, our design team, crafted a wonderful logo for this program. I don't know who that team was or who led it, but well done. Anybody want to take credit for that?
It was me.
Oh, was it you? Well, I didn't know that.
Yes, the artsy side.
Great job. It's so you check out that new logo on iTunes. You can also find us on blog.mormonandatheist.com. Please send us your emails, your comments, your questions. If you want to debate either one of us, probably me, send that to mormonatheist@yahoo.com, and follow us on Twitter at mormonatheist. As always, I'm David Anthony.
And Sarah.
We'll talk to you next time. Bye now.
Bye-bye.